I can be me and people like me? No,
What a
no, I'm not.
concept.
I'm not ready for that. All right. I don't think I showed off my junk. Cool.
Hey,
Howdy.
hi.
How's it going?
My name is Mason.
And I'm Jeremy, and this is Once Upon a D20's beginner's course on Dungeoneering, lesson set number 2. Because last time we, of course, started with some of the very basics, the core, the original classes of cleric, wizard, rogue, and fighter. But what if there was more?
There are, right? And so why not talk about them? Today we begin our foray into the second slew of player characters and races that we have not yet touched upon. Today's character is Kagwin Baharouche.
Last time we did a whole bunch of the nitty-gritty details on screen. We did a little bit of that off screen. Y'all know how we work. Y'all know how we do it. And we're going to take it how it lies, how it rolls. So let's go ahead and look at Kaglin.
First and foremost with Kagwin, we have his race, right? Kagwin is our first Dragonborn character that we are featuring. As a result, Kagwin gets to select a Draconic ancestry, which will influence a damage type that Kagwin gets resistance to, and also the way in which his breath weapon functions. On top of that, you get the damage resistance. So, Jer, what are you thinking regarding Kagwin's ancestry?
Well, a lot of people like their red dragonborns, but at the same time, I am a huge fan of gold, and they both have resistance to fire, which is a very common damage type. So I think we should go gold.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Particularly because, red is iconic, but it is also the iconic chromatic, right? And yeah, getting a little bit of metallic Dragonborn out there, a little bit Bahamut kind of advocacy. That's great. That's great. For those of you who don't know what Bahamut is, feel free to go check that out.
We'll go into some stuff later in some of the more in-depth lessons.
On to his class, which is Barbarian.
We've already set it up with the 5 levels there. Starting out, you are getting your biggest hit die of any class in the game, a D12. As well, if we look over at the ability scores, we've got some pretty strong ability scores to deal with. We'll come back to those in just a minute. But what do we want this big boy to be good at in his skills?
I'm thinking athletics and survival are maybe the two most archetypal barbarian skills. What do you think? Surviving out in the wilderness and also just being a generally yoked role character.
Well, a spoiler for everyone else. We've already picked this gentleman's background too as a soldier. And so he already has athletics proficiency, but we can still pick it from our class and then go in and pick a new one from our background. Something I don't think we've had to deal with yet.
That's true. That's true. What do you think? Do you want to do that? Or we could also, nature or animal handling could also make a lot of sense from the barbarian.
I think survival is a good instinctive pick. Gives him, that having to survive long periods of time out in the wilderness, lead people as a soldier, feels right. Going on down, there's the rage feature that is the bread, butter, and jam for the barbarian. In battle, you fight with a primal ferocity. On your turn, you can enter a rage as a bonus action. Remember, you have an action, a bonus action, and a movement, all within your turn. While raging, you gain the following benefits if you aren't wearing heavy armor. So you have to be careful about what you put on. But you have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. When you make a melee weapon attack using strength, not one that uses dexterity or one that uses, wisdom if you cast Shillelagh, but strength, you have bonus to the damage that increases as you level, and you in some of your other features, you're able to use other. In some of your other features, it has to be strength based as well. We'll get there in a minute. But then you have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. One of the best possible things that can happen to any character is being able to resist the 3 most used damage types in the game, whether or not they are magical.
Yeah, absolutely. An important thing to keep in mind when you go into a rage, in order to stay in a rage, you need to either deal damage or be damaged every round. And when you are not either dealing or receiving damage, you do lose your rage. So this is a very valuable asset, as Jer and I are trying to emphasize. Make sure to use it in situations in which you won't lose it.
Also, if you're one of those spellcasters that wants to take a little dip into Barbarian, please remember you can't cast spells and you can't concentrate on spells while you lose your mind. All of your focus goes into that rage. And there are different ways to flavor it. You don't have to just be brah and go crazy, but making sure to go through and think like, am I, angry? Am I hyper focused? Am I do I just turn my humanity off for a second and just think about Jason Bourne. When Jason Bourne starts into one of his little things, you see the eyes just glaze over and Jason isn't here right now. I'll be right back. Ba 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 ba.
Exactly. What the rage looks like is entirely dependent on you. The last first level ability that you get as a barbarian is unarmored defense, which makes it so that, unlike many people, when you are without armor, you don't just get an AC that is equal to 10 plus your dexterity score, but instead you get an AC that is equal to 10 plus your dexterity plus your constitution, which can be very useful if you find yourself unable to obtain armor.
You can also benefit from using a shield while you are unarmored as well.
Yes, this is true. On to second level. Second level gives us 2 new class abilities. You get Reckless Attack, which makes it so that you can get advantage on your attacks during the round. But in return, all attacks against you until your next turn are likewise made with advantage. So you are just recklessly and violently swinging.
But people can punch through your defense even better. Also, this is one of those things that I was talking about. You have to be using a strength-based weapon, a attack roll using strength, or else you don't get that advantage. The other second level feature that you get is Danger Sense. You looking around you, if something's just a little bit off and tries to spring at you like a lot of traps do, you get advantage on your dexterity saving throws. So even if you are strength-based and most of your stuff is poured into that strength, you can still dodge better than a lot of people.
On to level 3. This is, as with many other classes, this is where we get our subclass. Since we are shooting for our classic archetype of archetypes, Jer, I'm thinking Path of the Berserker, right, which is also the path that is available to everyone, free of charge on D&D Beyond.
The open gaming license lets us only have access to certain things in certain places, so Barbarian Berserker is the way we're going. And right here at level 3, you can drop into a frenzy when you rage. When you rage, you exert that frenzy, you can use subsequent bonus actions to fight with whatever weapon that you're using. But you have to be careful, because when your rage ends, whether it ends early or not, you suffer a level of exhaustion. 6 levels of exhaustion, and you... muerte.
All right, so that is level 3 with Berserker. On to level 4, we get ability score improvement or feats. Since we're going classic archetype, we are going to be sticking with the ability score as opposed to the feats. Though we almost certainly will be getting into feats later on in the beginner's course to dungeoneering. We're still keeping it pretty vanilla at this point.
Trying to make it accessible to everyone with this base level stuff. So with that ability score increase, before we determine what we're going to increase, let's jump over to the ability scores that we rolled previously. As y'all can see, we've got a set that has a 16, a 15, a 14, a 10, and 2 9s, or the much more tempting 18, 3 14s, a 12, and a 10. Mason, where are we going to put that 18?
I think we're going to put it into strength. Since Dragonborn get a +2 in strength, that will put our level 1 barbarian at a 20, which is a beautiful place to begin with such an important stat for this class.
I mean, it's hard to get better when you're already the best. Following that up, I would say that the next 3 most important things are dexterity, constitution, and wisdom, because he's a survivalist, using that survival.
Agreed. Which leaves us with a 12 and a 10 remaining. I would propose the 12 go into charisma and the 10 go into intelligence.
All right. Still dumping intelligence, as they say, but a 10's not nothing to sneeze at. So right here, now, they've updated D&D Beyond since the last time we did this. So now that we've assigned all the ability scores, it already has the stat increases there. And you can see right underneath it, that strength being at 20, the dexterity and constitution being at 14. Even though we put a 12 into charisma, it's bumped up to 13, so that there's a possibility that he can perhaps multi-class into something else. We'll talk about multi-classing prerequisites in another video.
Indeed. With the stats being these particular things, I would propose that we go ahead and put our ability score improvement into Constitution to help our barbarian not only be the strong boy, but also the thick boy, able to take many an attack.
Thickness is important. That's what... Never mind. Let me cut that out. No. So with that Constitution boost, that puts his max hit points at 55, which is an average of 11 per level. I just want to throw that out there. That's so much health, and he's resistant to a lot of damage. So that 55 health goes a much longer way in the long term.
Absolutely. Yeah, this barbarian is a barbarian that can take a hit, which is what you hope for. At level 5, we get 2 abilities, both of which do not require any options. All barbarians get these. Holy cow, dude. This? What is this?
Amazing.
That's been bugging me this whole time. Okay. At level 5, we get 2 abilities, which are available to all barbarians, regardless of subclass of any kind. At 5th level, you get an extra attack, which makes it so that when you take the attack action as a barbarian, you can attack twice. And then finally, you get fast movement, which also makes it so that you can move 10 feet faster when not wearing when not wearing heavy armor during your turn. Just another way that the barbarian incentivizes barbarian players not to don heavy armor.
Now, like we talked about before, we already picked this gent to have the soldier background. Because we put athletics as one of his skills over in the skill tree in the beginning, we have our choice of any of the possible skills for his final pick. What do you think we should do for that?
It is a good question. I think let's go ahead and do perception.
Perception.
Because a good soldier learns to keep their head on a swivel.
In that case, I'll go ahead and give him a dice set for his gaming set. You can see here that you can pick a certain amount of military rank for your background. You can work that out with your DM, exactly how good they were before the adventure began, what kind of clout that they may have walking into a place. Maybe they walk into a place and they look like somebody from the other team. You know what I mean? Anybody seen Firefly? Sorry, Train Job is my favorite.
Do keep in mind, if you're starting at level 1, your character probably isn't going to have been a general, right?
Probably.
If you're starting out at like level 5, level 10, God forbid level 20, that can be a little bit more negotiable, maybe.
Essentially, don't be selfish with your storytelling. Don't be too much better than everybody else at the beginning. Then you can move on and be better than everyone. Barbarians are so good. Barbarians are so good. Barbarians are so good. Moving on, we have the equipment that you start out with. Shall we, with this, I'm gonna make a judgment call. It either has to be the great axe or the great sword.
Yes, agreed. I think since we're going for the archetype, it's got to be the great axe.
Going for the great axe. Could chop down a tree with a single swing. Since we're going great axe, let's make the 2 hand axes our extra bonus side equipment. And every barbarian starts out with a good explorer's pack and 4 javelins. Now, javelins, don't think of them as the really long spears that are really cumbersome. Think of them kind of short, just long darts that you can hurl and or just jab somebody with. Down here at the bottom, as part of the soldier, we've got a dagger, a broken blade, or a banner. I say we pick a dagger because it gives this guy something else to pull on somebody if they try and hurt him. And we need a set of bone dice because that's what he's proficient in. Now, we have our whole boy right here. Hand axes, daggers, javelins, no armor to speak of. But if you go over to the character sheet, all of a sudden, what do you see? Well, you see a bunch of errors pop up that say you should be on a virtual tabletop because we're using Beyond 20. But right here you can see he's already ready and has his armor class of 15 because he bumped up his constitution and he's ready to go.
Ready to go to war. So, thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you are excited to see Kagwin Baharush show up in our next fight that we will put onto the channel. Yeah, stay safe out there.
Keep going.
And watch out for dungeons. They're everywhere. I swear. I don't know what's happening.
Everywhere.
Constantly. I'm tripping into them all the time.
Good luck. What is this, soul?
Okay, dude.
Right, be good. Thanks. I can slam this together like right now. We're
Beautiful.
done so early. All right.
We really slammed that. We did well.
All right, break it all down. Good luck.
Okay,
Good
I'm
luck
gonna
with your
pee
stuff.
and go make sure that my stuff on the stove isn't burning.
Sweet.